Hello, everybody. I'm Rikki Smith. Welcome to Faith on Friday Presents. At Faith on Fridays Presents, our goal is to drive motivation by closing the door on the comfort zone, by fostering inspiration, by exploring what's possible, and create transformation by challenging those really unproductive mindsets. And today is no different. But make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Instagram. So, parenting, am I right? It is tough sometimes being the parent. You've got the kids, the job, their activities, their schools, the homework, and let's not even get started on the projects. But how do you handle it? Where do you go for help? What happens when you're overwhelmed as a parent? And how does that affect your child going forward? Today, I'm going to introduce you to a child expert, educator, as well as one who counsels and helps parents to teach other parents how to be even better parents than they are right now. Everybody, please say hello to Miss Barbara Harvey. Hi, Miss Barbara.
Hey, Rikki. So good to be here on Face on Friday. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for saying yes, because this topic is really important. But before we jump into that, Miss Barbara, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and where it is you're located.
Okay, Rikki, again, as I said, my name is Barbara Harvey. I am a coach, a parent coach, and a coach of coaches in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh.
I have been working in Atlanta, Georgia since 2006. I have worked with over 12,000 parents here in the city. Um, by working with other nonprofit organizations. Unfortunately, COVID killed my nonprofit
Yeah,
organization.
that happened. COVID killed a lot of things for a lot of people, right?
Yes, it did. So I'm starting a new organization called Harvey's Parent and Consultation Company. And in that, I am taking the work that I've done with parents and I'm helping other agencies create their own parent education
Oh my
program.
gosh. That is so good and so necessary. So, Miss Barbara, how did you get into this? I mean, you grew up one day as a kid and go, you know what? I'm going to do this parenting thing better. Where did you see the need? Well, how did this get started for you?
Okay, so I can, I'm trying to, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to tell you too much because I do have a book coming out
Okay,
and the actual story is in the book. So I want people to read the story there. But
sure.
I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Miles Monroe and I
Wow.
asked him a question. And his question sent me on a journey. And the journey was to find my purpose.
Hmm.
And in looking for my purpose, I found parenting.
Wow.
They're just there's so much to the story. There's people that I've met, there's children that I've met, there's some good stories, there's some bad stories, there's
Oh
some
yeah,
crazy things going on.
sure.
But ultimately what I found is that there are a lot of parents out there who need help, who just need
Yeah.
support. And
Hmm.
so I set off on a journey to find out what they needed and how I could help them.
Yeah, that right there is such a huge journey to go on because as parents, we struggle sometimes, whether you have one child or multiple children, I'm sorry, whether your kids are toddlers, whether they're teens, or even adult children. So in thinking about this, Ms. Barbara, what is one of the problems that you help parents with? Because you said earlier, parents need support. What area do parents need support in?
I think the first area and the most important area parents need support in is understanding who they are themselves
Wow.
because we parent from who we are.
Mm-hmm.
At
Yeah.
the heart of every relationship, parenting is a relationship between a parent and a child.
So true.
One adult, one child. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot effectively parent all your children the same way because you don't
Right.
have the same relationship with each of your children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the question that I hear more than any other question ever asked of me is how come two kids can be raised in the same house and turn out so differently?
And every parent right now is going, I know, right? So I mean, we have siblings. I have four kids. I have two of everything they make, and they are each individually different people. And I look at them sometimes and go, I know your parents. Who are you? You know?
Right.
So
But the answer is honestly relationship.
yeah, that's so good. So, what is it about that parent-child relationship that makes it so poignant and so incredibly difficult sometimes?
We'll say because I love it. Some of our kids are born with our exact same personality, and
God help us.
we get them,
Yeah.
right? We might not like everything that there is about them, but we get them,
Yeah.
right? But then we have the child that is born with Aunt Mabel's personality, and we never could stand Aunt Mabel. We
Right.
tolerate her at Christmas. We invite her to the birthday parties. But, when it really comes down to it, we don't really like Miss Mabel.
Wow.
Our third child is exactly like Aunt Mabel.
Oh my goodness.
So, how do we have a relationship with this child when they're just like Aunt Mabel?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Wow.
and so it just becomes something that we need to really work on.
Yeah.
And we need it's harder to have a relationship with that child who reminds us of Aunt Mabel.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like Aunt Mabel, right?
Right.
So although we have four kids and we love all our kids the same, we
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily like all our kids the same. And
Wow.
that means we have a different relationship with each of them.
That's so
So
true.
the job of parenting is to understand myself well enough to know and recognize this child, number three, is like Aunt Mabel. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to work harder, more specifically, more succinctly, to develop a relationship with that child.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot allow my dislike of Aunt Mabel to affect my relationship with my third child.
Right. Wow. That by itself already is so huge. So, in thinking about these relationships, because they're important, our kids are going to grow up and they're going to look at what we have done to them, for them, or about them in their own perspective. So, as a parent, I mean, as somebody that works with parents, how do you help the parents find that inner peace to deal with these relationships with these amazing little humans?
The truth is, it starts with your relationship in prayer. You
Mm,
have to have a relationship with God
hmm.
that He's going to tell you who this child is, what their assignment is, and how you as a parent are going to help to prepare them for the assignment that He sent them to the earth for.
So good. So good that he has sent them to Earth for. So then, okay, here's one for you, Miss Barbara. So I'm a parent. I have my kids. I'm doing all the things that I can to possibly make them to be productive humans. But I grew up in the era of I'm the parent and you're the child. You get your little personality in check and fall in line. What do you say to that parent or that parenting style?
Let's go back to relationship.
Mm.
Is that the kind of relationship that you want to develop with your child?
Whew. Oh my goodness.
I'm the boss of you. Are you going to do what I say? Even
Mm-hmm.
the Lord doesn't have that kind of relationship with us.
That's true.
And He owns us. I mean, let's just be clear, okay? Jesus
Right.
said, I own you. I bought you with my blood. I own you.
Right.
But
Right.
He doesn't have a relationship with us like that.
No.
That's
Yeah.
the relationship we want to have with our kids.
That's so true. That's so true. But then does the relationship change as, from those toddlers to teens to adults and even sometimes married adults? Because as your kids get older, they have different seasons, all those things, but then they have their college season, they have their single finding themselves season, then they get married, then they become a parent themselves. Does the relationship change?
Absolutely. It's not just called child development, it's also called parent development. Because
Woo.
guess what? Just as they're changing, so are you.
Yeah. Ooh,
You
that
know,
is so good.
most of us, when we have little toddler kids, we're in our 20s and 30s. Not as
Mm-hmm.
much anymore because most of us are in our 30s and 40s now. But anyway,
Right.
we can talk about that later. But so as I become, our 20s and 30s are about us knowing who we are, developing
Mm-hmm.
relationship with ourselves, knowing
Right.
what we want, knowing our values, our relationship with the Lord, our relationship with our spouse, our
Mm-hmm.
relationship with adults, right? So we're growing into all of those things. At the same time, we have a child, a child who comes into the world so sweet, so
Yeah.
need us so bad, right? And then they become toddlers. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you hit the I can do it myself.
That's right. No, no, no. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Right. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, this person is discovering they're their own person. So now I need to start developing a relationship with them where they
Yeah.
have to understand that I'm the authority, but they also need to know that I love them and that I can be friendly with them, not
Mm-hmm.
friends with them.
Woo,
There's
that's a whole
different,
distinction. Yeah.
you know, right? Um, and then, starting to help them learn how to make those individual decisions,
Mm-hmm.
even in toddlerhood. And then as they grow, we're teaching them to make more decisions. We're teaching them how to have good relationships.
Yeah.
At the same time, we're growing because
Mm-hmm.
now we know who we are. We have a career, but
Mm-hmm.
now we're dealing with the things. What do we want? What's our career? What are our dreams? How are we
Yeah.
living our dreams?
So
And one of
good.
the things that I'm thinking of utmost importance is that parents need to remember you are a living example. 80%,
Wow. Yeah.
80%, this is a statistic that I saw in Pew and I saw somewhere else, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
80% of what parents do in their day to day lives
Mm-hmm.
over the course of years is what their children will do in their adulthood,
Ooh, my goodness.
right?
Maybe that's where we get the just do what I say, do not what I do, because we remember what we were doing and we don't want them to do that, you know?
Right.
Wow.
Eh, right. But only 20% of what you say is what they take into their future.
I believe it.
They watch you.
Yeah.
They
My
learn how to
goodness.
be adults by watching you.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
do as I say, not as I do, doesn't work, never did.
Woo, my goodness. That is sad and true. Okay, so Miss Barbara, how about this? We have a parent watching. Their relationship with their child is a little broken, and the child is an adult now. And it's a strained relationship for whatever reason. Can that relationship be healed? And if so, what advice would you give to that parent?
So, first of all, let's remember in the Lord, there's no such thing as too late.
I like it.
He always has a way back,
Hmm.
always.
Yeah.
So, again, it goes back to pray. It goes back to prayer. Holy
Hmm.
Spirit, I broke this relationship. I don't
Wow.
even know all the different ways that this relationship was broken.
Sure.
Okay, because let's just be honest. If
Mhm.
we're not in the space where we're praying and asking the Lord to show us the things we say, the things we do, because we don't know exactly how the child took A, B, or C,
That's
right?
so true because they have their own perspective on any situation. Because, growing up with the four kids and all the things, I could have done one thing, and one of my daughters, when to hear her tell the story, oh my gosh, I was like, wait, I was there. None of that happened. But it's about their perspective, right?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
so
And
funny.
so it's prayer to ask the Holy Spirit, show me where this was broken.
Hmm.
Show me how to fix it. Sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's show me where this is broken. Please fix it.
Okay, please fix it because I can't.
Please
So,
fix it.
yeah,
Yeah, because sometimes it just takes him and
yeah.
being willing to let him do what he can do that we can't.
And there's so much of that we cannot do. So then,
Right.
when you're working with parents, do you give them practical things to do? Not that prayer is not practical, but we've prayed. And now do I have to go and apologize? Do I have to go and, what else after that? What then is that corresponding action that a parent needs to do?
So I start out every session I do, every class I do. So I do a class with parents called Defining Values, Achieving Goals.
Okay.
And the purpose of that class is to help parents to understand who they are themselves, what their own authenticity, their own values, their own um, all the things that they want to do to be able to say at the end of their life, well done. The
Okay.
Holy Spirit said to them, well done, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of those practical things. Part of that is to be a successful parent. Four
Mm-hmm.
things you need to be a successful parent. You need to be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a relationship with your co-parent. And like it or not, every couple, married or not, co-parents because you didn't
Yeah.
grow up in the same house.
So true. Yeah.
So then you have to develop a relationship with each one of your children. That's going to be different and practical depending on, you know, you have
Mm-hmm.
one child who loves art. You're going to do art with that child. You have
Right.
one kid who loves basketball. You're going to go play basketball with that child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are different practical things for building a relationship. And
Yeah.
then you're going to make sure that you have a community that's surrounding your kids. So
So
that
good.
teachers, coaches, family members,
Mm-hmm.
people that are in your community that the people that you have over for dinner, the people that you deal with, and you build a community of people around your
Yeah.
kids. So
Mm-hmm.
when they don't feel comfortable talking to you, they
Yeah.
have 3 or 4 or 5 other people that they feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with, that you feel comfortable with them talking to
Yeah.
them about something they don't feel comfortable talking to you about.
That is so true. Because I know with us growing up, we had that too. And even with our kids, I'm so grateful to the people in our lives that helped us raise our children. Y'all know who you are, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much. So, Miss Barbara, you said you have a book coming out. Tell us about your book.
So my book is called Building a Kingdom Parent Ministry: Who You Have to Become to Lead, Serve, and Influence. And so, as I said before, I am working with people who want to build parent ministries and churches, who want to build ministries on their own,
Hmm.
who are interested in working with nonprofits. So they're all looking to say, okay, how do we now help parents? And so
Right.
that's what my book is. I took my story of my nonprofit,
Hmm.
you know, from beginning to end and everything in between, and I put it in a book.
Wow, that is so awesome. Now, Miss Barbara, you said you're working with parents. Are you still doing the work with parents that you've been doing?
Some I
Okay.
have I have some clients every now and then. I'll partner with a group or like a church. If a church,
Mm-hmm.
so I, my class Defining Values, Achieving Goals I was talking about a little bit ago,
Mm-hmm.
I have an instructor's guide
Okay.
that I have, and so
Mm-hmm.
churches can buy that instructor's guide and they can teach it, right?
Okay.
They can buy the instructor's guide and 10 books, and then they can teach that in their congregation.
I see.
I am currently working on a forever video
Mm-hmm.
training session so they can buy that and a training session. But
Mm-hmm.
every now and then I have a church and what they want me to, they don't want to do it. They want me to come
Right.
in.
Sure, of course.
And I understand that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really how how I work with parents now. If a
Okay.
church or an organization wants me to come in and work with their parents, I will
Mm-hmm.
do.
Okay. So now if we have a church or a parent watching and they wanted to work with you or reach out to you, where's the best place for them to find you?
Okay, so they can definitely find me on my website.
Mm-hmm.
My website is Harvey's Harveys parent.com.
Okay.
That's a great way because you can find things and all that kind of stuff. Another good way is I am on both LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay.
My name is Barbara E. Harvey on both.
Mm-hmm.
They can
Okay.
reach out to me that way.
Okay. Well, great.
And my email and telephone number and all that's on LinkedIn and on the site. So
Sounds good.
you
Don't
can
worry,
reach out to
everybody.
me.
If you did not get her contact information, everything is going to be in the description below. And don't forget, we really want you to share this YouTube channel on your network, as well as like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram. Ms. Barbara, before I let you go, we're going to play a game.
Okay.
So this
I
game
love
is
games.
super easy. It's just a way to get to know you better. The game is called What's on Your Mind. I'm going to
Okay.
give you a sentence and you're going to have to finish it for me.
Okay.
Are you ready to play, my friend?
I am ready.
Let's do this. All right, first sentence. My perfect day entails blank.
My perfect day entails getting up with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, relaxing and listening to a book, going for a walk, and I don't yet have a significant other, so my future perfect day would just be spending the day with my significant other.
I love it. My future perfect day. Y'all hear her. She is single. I'm just putting that out there. All right. Next up, when I go shopping with my friends, the first store I hit is
The first store I hit is Nordstrom Rack. I love Nordstrom. I love Nordstrom Rack because 74% off of everything you get at Nordstrom's. I'm like,
Yeah.
who doesn't like that? I
Who
mean, I
doesn't love
love
that? I'm
right.
telling you, 100%. Okay. Next up, I have a ridiculous amount of blank.
I have a ridiculous amount of nuts. I'm a nut fiend.
Okay.
So every month I order from nuts.com and they have every kind of nut known to man. So, I mean, pecans, cashews, walnuts, pistachios,
Wow.
you name it.
Everything. Okay. I'm down with it. On the occasions that I cook, my favorite dish is
My favorite dish to cook.
mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So this is going to sound weird because it's not really my favorite dish to cook, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
favorite ingredient to make. I
Okay.
love making my own broth.
Oh my gosh. But that's
Yeah.
so good. It's so much
So,
better than what you buy, I
right,
think.
right. So what I've learned is that I'm going to promote this. There's a lady on YouTube who has a channel called Mary's Nest, and
Okay.
she makes everything from scratch, literally.
Bless her
She,
heart.
but she talks about it from the perspective of if you want to be healthy, in order to be really healthy, you got to stop eating processed foods. Period. In the short,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
And
probably not going to follow her.
I get it. I get it. But one of the things she says is if you buy all your vegetables raw,
Mhm.
then what you should do is when you cut, peel, slice, dice, whatever, take those peelings, take those end vegetable, take the
Mhm.
outer part of the onion, throw them in a bag, throw them in your freezer. At the end of the month,
Mhm.
throw all that in a crock pot with some water and some herbs and spices, turn it
Mhm.
on for 12 hours, and you have an excellent broth that's full of vegetables. You didn't pay any more for it
I love
because
it.
all you're doing is taking your vegetable scraps and putting them in water.
I
And I
like it
love
so
that
much.
because, yeah, because it usually makes like 2 or 3 quarts. I make soups almost instantly. I make
Hmm.
grits. I make, so it's my favorite thing to cook.
I love that so much. Miss Barbara, thank you so much for being with us today.
I had a blast, Rikki. Thank you for inviting me. Thank your audience for taking the time to listen. Um, Great. I just love it. Faith on Fridays.
I love it so much. Hey, everybody, that's it for this week, but don't worry, we'll be back next week with more Faith on Friday Presents.